What is up, everyone? Once again, it is Monday, so we have another Monday metagame update. We're going to hit all the usual, but we also have a nice tournament this weekend, and we have some pretty good brews for standard, even though, it's been out a while. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so standard. Yeah. At least on Untapped IGG, seems like mostly the same things, but we do have some good news, and we do have a new deck kind of doing well on the ladder. So, tier 1, still mono white humans and soldiers. Close behind, mono red aggro, Naya humans, enchantments, and 4-color decks. That's all pretty much the same. Of course, Esper Legends also pretty good in best of 1 and best of 3. But the new guy here, Boros Heroic. This was one that, hadn't really seen much play. People dabbled a little bit back maybe a set or two ago, but it's back and better than ever. So let's take a look at Boros Heroic. So we've got Angel Fire Ignition, still a very solid card. The Voldaren Thrill Seeker, another one which saw some fringe play, but never a staple in any deck. It does let you kind of do like a sacrifice to deal X amount of damage to target's face, which is equal to the power of your creature. And we've seen this effect before. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it's a pretty common ability, but usually it's kind of an expensive ability. Plus you have to sack your own creature. So yeah, this is the best rate we've seen on that. And yeah, so that's part of the deck. We also got Illuminator Virtuoso, another one that's pretty strong that hasn't had a good home. And a bunch of 1-drop target spells, Lauren's Escape, Homestead Courage, Monstrous Rage. Cheeky Housemouths, another good include. Yeah, so basically you pump up your guys real big, you're gonna swing in, and then you might sack them at the end if you need to. Pretty cool. It's a pretty innovative deck, doing pretty well, 56%. So yeah, pretty impressed by that. Nice innovation. Whoever is the one who made this. All right, best of 3. Soldiers, the Flash version, and the 4-color Rampy deck are still the best two right now. Esper Legends also very good. It won the Worlds tournament. Humans and Mono Red, not quite as good, but still pretty good. And Band Control is about, it's pretty good. Still not quite top tier, but good enough to win you a bunch of games. And then we got the rest. I did notice that there was this guy, Sultai Control, which I thought was kind of interesting. So I wanted to take a look at that one. Shieldred, we got Tranquil Frillback. That's kind of a new one. Lets us destroy artifacts or enchantments. Like Skrelv is an artifact, so you could destroy that. You can exile their graveyard, so you can get rid of their underdog, or maybe get rid of the opponent's Mosswood Dread Knights. Gain some life, help you against aggro. So pretty good all-arounder card. More life gain, which can always help. And Gruff Triplets, another card that is very powerful but didn't see much play. And this one, I really like this include Ingenious Prodigy. I've played with this card. I actually think this card is really good, but the problem is there hasn't been a great home for it. I did really like it in like a blue-red prowess type deck that has some ways to put counters on things. So I do think it's kind of decent. The Shulk lets it not really be blocked by anything, at least not reasonably well. So yeah, I think this card might be better than it seems, or than people have been kind of playing it, but just doesn't really have a home. So that's pretty cool that they're including that. They're also running Invasion of Amonkhet. So this is a really strange brew. The win rate here is not so great. Win rate up here is better. So that probably just means that this archetype has something going for it, but the exact cards in this deck are not quite right. So if you're a brewer, and you're playing best of 3 especially, Sultai definitely has some gas. So maybe check that out. I took a look at the Bant one as well, but it's pretty much the standard worlds list, so not much going on there. All right, looking at historic, nothing really has changed yet. We did just get a new set, that came out very recently. October 11th, we had the Alchemy cards come out. A lot of the Alchemy cards look pretty nice, to be honest. I actually think there might be able to be like a Boars deck and probably a Fairies deck, but in Historic, not as sure. Fairies maybe in Historic, but it's going to take a little while before people craft the cards and are playing those things. So we'll have to see on that one. Still up in the air, but nothing changing in Historic quite yet. And then in Alchemy, same kind of story really. People are still, not that played that much, and people are still getting cards, and they don't want to waste their wild cards and things like that. So not a lot of stuff going on in Alchemy, but we do see that in the best of 3 category, there's a Sultai Midrange deck that was doing pretty well. So I went ahead and took a look. Basically, it's the Golgari midrange deck from Standard with Talion and some sideboard cards as well, but mostly just playing Talion because Talion's pretty good. Yeah, so that's about it. If you like Alchemy, I mean, this one seems pretty good, so maybe check that out. Okay, so I mentioned we had a pretty good tournament this last weekend. It's the Pizza Box Challenge. There's, every 2 weeks, I want to say every week, every 2 weeks. Depends on, I think, the standard or what new cards are coming out or things like that. But yeah, they had another big one. The usual suspects took it down, 4-color ramp, Golgari midrange. But the third place, Band Control, is actually a new Band Control deck. So I really wanted to take a look at this. I found that very interesting that, there's another version of the deck. This one has Chrome Host, Seed Shark. Of course, we got Leyline Binding up the Beanstalk, the usuals here. So they decided to cut most of the whales and go for the Chrome Host Seed Shark, which, as we know, works very well with Leyline Binding because it makes a 6/6. So that makes a lot of sense. I guess it also is a good payoff for a lot of your other cards. I did find that the previous Band Control deck, while being very good and drawing basically your whole deck, often, you would almost run out of win cons at some points in the deck, especially depending on who you're playing against. Because you had to use a lot of your Wandering Emperors to like remove the opponent's creatures, and you ended up losing it. So I do think that's pretty nice. Let's see if they have any other innovations. I don't really see much different. They might have cut a few things. I do see Make Disappear, which I'm not sure the other version had. I think it did. Yeah, so pretty much instants are all the same, sorceries are all the same. So they just switched up a few, like took out 1 Wandering Emperor, took out 2 of the whales, and put in 2 Chrome Host Seed Shark. So yeah, it's a new version. It's interesting. Maybe it's better against aggro. Might be worth trying in best of 1. We'll have to see. All right. I think that about does it. Soldier's deck is pretty much the same mid-range. And Naya, we know the Naya and the best of 1 ladder. It's always there. So nothing too crazy going on else on this tournament, unfortunately. I guess mono white vehicles maybe a little bit weird, but they didn't do that well. So yeah, I'm not sure. Ginger Brute, Hotshot Mechanic, Patchwork Automaton. So this is like an artifacts affinity deck, really. Okay, okay. Kind of cool. Halo Hopper, very surprising. Yeah, all right. Well, props to them. I mean, this is definitely an innovation on a deck. So very props to them. Cool. Artifact Affinity. It didn't get, top 8, but it did very well. So yeah, cool. All right, let's move on to the Twitter brews. We actually got some pretty decent ones today, so let's take a look. There was another tournament, a small tournament that went on, and the top place was of course, the Flash Soldiers deck. I just wanted to highlight that. Still doing very well. Virtue of Loyalty, very good. Ranger, Knight Errant of Aeos. I always want to say Ranger, but Knight Errant of Aeos. Also a very good card, so not too many surprises there. It's one of the top decks. Makes sense. All right, moving on. We had the qualifier play-in happen over the weekend, and so some people posted their decks from that. This is one that somebody else did very well with. Basically, it's a blue-white control mill deck. We saw something like this, I want to say 2 sets ago. So, now doesn't really look like they made too many changes. It has Vanquish the Horde instead of Force Sunfall. So that's really the only main change I see here. Yeah, so this is still pretty good. Apparently, if you want to play it, beat a lot of the mono red, beat the domain ramp, beat a blue white mirror match. Although I'm sure it's not the same deck. So yeah, it's pretty cool. This is an old deck, still going strong. And then we had the standard challenge top 8. Robert Taylor, posted the results. We got the blue white flash going first. Also second place. Third place was Esper, and fourth place is I believe Golgari Midrange. Yeah, with a little bit of a spiciness in here, Virtue of Persistence and Iron Crag. So and Nissa. A lot of them are playing Nissa, but yeah. Pretty cool. So I only really new deck is this fourth place one. It's not even new, but it's a little bit variation on the standard. So yeah, standard is getting a little old, but you got a few of these brews here and there that we've seen. So yeah, I respect people who are still trying. We got the Brew Lab here. He's in Diamond, climbing up to Mythic. He's trying out some new stuff, and he's playing a Toxic Otters deck, which is with Ivy, with the Otter deck, and then with the Venerated Rock Priest. So yeah, this deck was pretty solid before the Simic Poison deck, and adding the Otter, which is very elusive, which puts counters as a target spell. Pretty good, so makes sense. But props again, Brew Lab, new brews. I like it. But yeah, let's move on. This is one I am very hyped for. This person got to Mythic. They're playing a black-white Planeswalker deck, and they're playing Ashiok, yeah, who I've been trying to make work. I had a few okay decks, nothing super amazing. I think my best one was actually black-white, but not quite this same version. So yeah, pretty hyped about this. Vraska with the Virtue of Loyalty in here. This is Virtue of Loyalty. I know it's in Japanese. They can't tell, but Virtue of Loyalty puts counters on your creatures. You're making a bunch of tokens from your Planeswalkers and your wedding announcement, and then your Vraska is proliferating. It also proliferates all your Planeswalkers. So really cool. I really like this deck, and I'm probably going to take it for a spin on the ladder because it looks pretty sweet to me. All right, and then finally we have this Rakdos deck. This is I believe this is, I want to say Alchemy. I want to say Alchemy because we see Fable of the Mirror Breaker here. Pretty sure that's banned in most formats except for Historic and Alchemy. So, not positive. I'm gonna say, oh no, we see a Thoughtseize, so it has to be Historic. So this is Historic. Interesting. So Historic Rakdos deck with Cauldron, with the Thrill Seeker to sack stuff and shoot people in the face. So I guess you just play a bunch of creatures and you shoot people in the face a bunch of times. Interesting. Interesting. And I don't know what the tree does, so I guess apparently that's part of the combo. Thrill Seeker, Tree, and Agatha. So we'll have to take a look at the tree card. Exchange target opponent's life total with tree foundation's toughness. Okay. So what's life total with? So you can put this ability on a 1/1 creature, and then your opponent gets 1 life, and then you ping them and blow them up. Okay. Pretty interesting. Okay, well, cool. So it's a historic combo deck, a new one we haven't seen before. Yeah, pretty cool. Props to this person. Tyrant of Tales. Very interesting deck. All right, that is it for now. As I mentioned, the new Alchemy cards did come out, so Historic and Alchemy are affected by that. We got some new pigs, we got some new fairies. We got some pretty interesting red cards for dragons. So lots of pretty cool stuff from Wilds of Eldraine. I actually think they made the alchemy cards pretty good this time. They're not overpowered. They're just interesting and they synergize pretty well with each other. So yeah, I actually think they did a really good job this time. Unfortunately, we still have the old alchemy cards. Kind of overshadows a lot of things. But there was a not banning, a nerf of Bowmaster and the One Ring. So both of those cards are definitely weaker and won't see play as much. So that might change the formats. Historic is probably going to get changed from that. But yeah, we'll see. It just came out, so we don't know yet. So go out there, have some fun, try some of these cool brews. Till next time, see ya.